What the fuck?
It's like croutons in a soup.
Don't turn down any opportunity, whether it's a camp, a clinic, because you never know literally who's watching.
Make your own decision and stick with them and know they're the right decisions, right? And even if they aren't right, don't regret them.
He didn't know creatine existed.
So you got some creatine? He's like, oh, yeah. Lift heavyweight.
Shipped across the border. I shipped across the border.
Shipped across the border, man.
Welcome back to Shipped Across the Border. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Shipped Across the Border. My name is Max. I'm here with Chris, and I don't really know what we got for you guys today. It's kind of the last couple of days have been a little bit crazy and a little bit dull, a little bit of whirlwind.
I definitely wouldn't say the second one.
Dull?
I wouldn't say the second one.
It's been pretty chill. The first couple of days were pretty crazy. Now it's been pretty mellow, but season is over, career is over, life just starting. So we're gonna talk a little bit about how the season ended, where we're at, life-wise, plans, goals, aspirations, and yeah, just kind of chop it up. Maybe get a little Nietzsche in here. Wouldn't be a pod without a little what's it called? Psychology, philosophy. So yeah.
Can I ask the same question that you asked me the day after Madai was done for, or I was done for Madai?
Of course you can. I feel like that fits.
How does it feel to no longer be a college basketball player?
Not gonna lie, it feels pretty good. I never really pictured how my life would be without basketball, but now that it's over, the first thing is I don't regret anything. Like, I put in countless and countless hours of blood, sweat, tears, emotion, energy, effort into basketball over, probably 15, 17 years. And there's not one time that I'm haunted about missing a workout, missing a lift, or doing anything differently. Like, if I were to do it again, I would do almost everything like the same way.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Obviously, there are some different nuances that I would change and probably be in a little bit of a better spot. But overall, like, I don't have any regrets, and so that's something I can confidently continue into the rest of my life with. Is not any regrets. I saw it through. Not many people make it through 4 years of college basketball. It's a really difficult thing. It takes a big toll on you mentally, physically, emotionally. But I feel like I received a lot out of it. Honestly, probably more in terms of like the person I become, as opposed to necessarily the things that I achieved, even though there were bits and pieces of success along the way. But basketball is the thing that caused me a lot of. I used a ton of energy, mentally and physically, into basketball. But on like a more emotional level, like, it kind of dictated how I emotionally acted, how I spiritually interacted with the world and with other people. It influenced how I believe that people perceived me as well. And I just put a lot of energy into basketball as a whole, mentally, physically, emotionally. And so now that that's done, I feel like I have back a ton of energy to be able to use into other things. And I'm looking forward to that, because unfortunately basketball is a type of venture where a lot of things are out of your control, whether you get in the game or not, whether shots go in or not. There are things in your control, like the process and the work that you put in. Like I said, I don't have anything to regret or anything I would necessarily do differently. But to be able to take that energy and apply it to things that I have more control over, things that are more directly proportional with input, is something that excites me. Mm-hmm. And obviously a part of it does sting. I spent a lot of time doing it, so now life feels a little bit dull. Looking for finding meaning in other things. Fortunately, I found the pursuit of calisthenics a little bit before basketball wrapped up, so I was able to try to transition effort and energy into that.
And Catan.
And definitely Catan. But, we'll get into the calisthenics and stuff in a little bit, I'm sure. But, yeah, it feels like a little bit of like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder, but also not that much of a weight, because the weight of
finding something else to do
is almost equal to the weight of stress and emotional endurance, or I don't really know how to word it, but that I was carrying with me with basketball.
Did freshman you at Madai picture this being how it would feel to be a ex-college basketball player?
Freshman me, I thought maybe I would have a lot of. When high school basketball ended, I was a mess. I probably didn't leave my room for 2 or 3 days which honestly isn't much different than how it ended here, but it was for maybe different reasons. But I wasn't. I don't know. I don't think I was grappling with like my like self-worth and like who I am outside of basketball the same way as I was when high school basketball ended, because I was in maybe necessarily in a place where I was ready to let it go. I was ready where the grind caught up with me, like emotionally, obviously, of like the stress of performance and being evaluated on things that are a little bit out of my control, which was something that really frustrated me as I matured. Also, like, I mean, I got really banged up this year. Like, I had so many back issues where I was in the training room pretty frequently, like putting heat on my back before practices, rolled my ankle twice. One time was in a boot for like 3 weeks, obviously got sick a bunch, and just my whole body was just an absolute shambles. So having a little bit of time to dedicate to recovering and without like any outside pressure or internal pressure to even want to come back and finish out the year like I was experiencing before. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question. It's really complicated.
Okay.
But I think freshman year me would have thought that I would be a little bit more in the dumps and more in a little bit of a depressive state, maybe a little bit more lost than and definitely not like as relieved, I guess, as I am now, if that makes sense.
Have you touched a basketball since that last game?
No, I'm not touching a basketball until
The
me,
3v3
you, and Jack and
Jaden.
Big JB win the Picknelly 3v3 tournament. But other than that, I'm probably not touching basketball. Maybe the day before, get some shots up and get some feel back. But no, I honestly have no desire to. Like, I mean, the type of person I am is like I put effort into things that I'm going to see results in, and there's no results to be seen at this moment in basketball because it's over right now for me, competitively at least. So I mean, I'm looking for results in other areas where I'm dedicating that energy to.
Yours was much more sudden than mine. Mine was like a gradual.
Wait, what do you mean? I've spent 4 years playing college basketball, and I knew that this day it's not sudden at all.
No, I mean like the contrast from like mine, the gradual realization that I was quitting happened over the course of the season versus yours is like, and you knew it was coming, but like the actual moment itself was like immediate, happened immediately.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but honestly, I was also mentally preparing for that moment for a while, especially because I spent a large majority of the second semester not even playing. I mean, due to being sick and being hurt. So I was like mentally prepared. I had a little bit of understanding of what it would be like. And I was honestly like, to be honest, I was ready. Like basketball put me through so much, like emotionally and also physically. And so like I knew that I was going to come back from being sick and hurt and just give it my all, and the chips fall where they may, and then that was going to be it. And I was looking forward to that being it, to be honest with you. I wanted the team to do as well as we possibly could, and I wanted to play as big of a part as I could when my number was called. And so that's why I was staying in the gym. But after I got hurt and sick, and frustration grew with that, and also with how kind of things out of my control were limiting me, I was kind of ready for the bandage to be ripped off, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm articulating that properly. I definitely don't want to sound like negative, because I was showing up to practice every day, like trying to work as hard as I could, even though my ability to work hard was definitely limited because of my body and because of my health. Like I definitely didn't feel like I was close to as in shape as I was in the earlier parts of the season. And so that was also frustrating. And yeah. Oh, I was also like, even the times where I was like playing a bit or fringe on rotation or on the rotation, like game days, I was still getting in the gym preparing as if I was like when I was starting earlier in the season, because I wanted to be ready to be able to perform when my team needed me and when my number was called. Like it definitely didn't impact my physical output or what I was doing or my preparation, but mentally there was a lot of frustration from all these various different things.
I'm trying to think of how I felt when like that day after, when it was literally just lifting. And like since then,
I gotta imagine you felt a little bit relieved.
It was definitely immediately relief. I did not want to go into Coach Hack's office and say that to his face, but because mine was so gradual. Like the realization of,
I think mine was probably a little more gradual than you think too, because I spent a month, like not necessarily away from the team, but like not playing basketball, just lifting whenever my body felt healthy enough to, and just chilling and existing and processing.
But was basketball at the forefront of your mind during all of that?
I mean, at one point I thought before I got my ankle evaluated by the trainers and stuff, I thought my basketball career was over. So I kind of came to terms with like potentially that could have been it for like, it was like the weekend probably. And then it was definitely less gradual than yours, but I definitely had time to process it for that like month that I was out. Basketball was on the forefront of my mind, but not the same level as it was when I was like 100% fully healthy and in it, if that makes sense.
Because mine was like the gradual release from every single day, waking up, knowing that no matter what happens today, I need to have a basketball in my hands and do something with it to get better.
Yeah.
And then the slow release of like waking up and being immediately not struck by that thought was very weird.
So I also had experienced something similar, but like I said before, like my input never wavered. Like whenever I was healthy enough to be put in work, or when I was healthy, I was even when I wasn't playing, like put in, like that never changed. But the excitement that I had to perform that is what kind of wavered. And so as the season went on, as things out of my control negatively affected me, health, other circumstances, like it made it much harder for me to will myself to go to the gym and stay prepared for those moments. And so when I didn't have to do that anymore, it was a little bit of a relief, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It wasn't necessarily weird, because it wasn't like this was something that I was like getting out of bed excited to do every single morning, and like the best part of my day. Like it was something that, and I definitely enjoyed it and enjoyed the release and enjoyed like being prepared. Something that helped me be confident not only as a basketball player but as like a person as well, and like just leaving the gym knowing that like I'm controlling whatever I can control regardless of the circumstances that are out of my control. It gave me a little bit of like empowerment. Mm-hmm. But after I was like, that's not needed anymore, and I could spend that energy in other areas that I'm a little bit more excited to do and grow, and the results are a little bit more in my control, were a little bit more positive feelings. I definitely don't feel like empty now that I don't have basketball to put energy into and to work towards and to get up in the morning and do, which is something that, honestly, to answer your question before, and as I'm like saying this out loud and like processing it, probably is something that I would have thought as a freshman that I would experience. Is like that emptiness and like now what do I wake up and put energy into? Mm-hmm. And I mean, and the calisthenics thing that I've been progressing towards, which we can talk about, is definitely helped bridge that gap of energy. Like I think if I would just wake up in the morning, just doing nothing, playing video games, playing board games, going to class, and just existing, I would have this like longing to produce something of value. Mm-hmm. But I feel like like you did with weightlifting, I was able to transfer energy from one medium into another. So that helped bridge that gap of waking up in the morning and chasing something to fulfill me and achieve something.
Yeah. I just thought as you were speaking there of like, this is a weird question, but is there something at all, or what would have had to happen in this 4 years of basketball for you to be like, okay, I still want more of this?
I mean, listen, if my input, which the work I put in, the process that I held myself to for 6 years, even more, but 6 years while I've been in the U.S. really like chasing this college basketball grind, were to be more rewarded, I guess, then I would have probably maybe considered trying to play at a higher level, or I mean, listen, like it's pretty evident that this is the highest level that I could have possibly played at. Like I didn't have a ton of on-court success. I had some good moments. I made some big shots in some big games. I definitely contributed to our team winning, and I started some games. I won Student Athlete of the Week at our school. Like I won Player of the Game. I won, which is like a intern team award we give after every game, which is the belt. I won the phone, which is the person that answered the call. I definitely saw moments of success, but I mean, transparent, those moments of success were not nearly as reflective of the input that I was putting in and what I thought I was capable of doing. And I mean, can't control whether you make or miss shots. Can't really control whether you get in the game or not, or if you make a shot in a big moment that could like change the trajectory of the next couple games, like we talked about on the DJ episode when we had that long conversation that lasted 2 episodes or whatever. And like when you make shots is so important, and you can't really choose that. So if I experienced more success and I thought that I could have played at a higher level, then I would be lying my head on the pillow at night thinking like, damn, like what if I could have done more? What if I could have done more? But because I didn't see all of the necessary success that I thought I was maybe capable of or whatever, like, I mean, it's pretty evident that this is probably the highest level of basketball I could play at, and I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, I control what's in my control, and this is what I received in return. And although I think it may not be fair and it may not be even close to the equal of the input that I put in, that also isn't really in my control, and that doesn't mean anything, right? Mm-hmm. So I put in this, and this is what I have to show for it, and what I have to show for it is exactly what I just talked about before, and that does not equal the ability to play at a higher level. And so I don't have any hunger to do so, because I know like that's probably not, and my energy is probably better used in other areas, if that answers your question.
Fair was an interesting word there, but
fair is a very interesting word there.
It's a very interesting word there, but
we can elaborate on that. I mean, fair would be an equal input to output ratio. Fair would be, in my opinion,
equity or equality. It's purely in this sense, not like some weird political stuff.
Equity.
That's giving the
equity in this situation would
giving
be
equal opportunity to equal circumstances.
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
someone who needs more help gets more help versus someone who needs no help doesn't get any help.
So someone who puts in work receives a lot of results. Someone who doesn't put in work doesn't see a lot of results. That's equity in how I was explaining it. Equality would be everyone sees the same results no matter how much work you put in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, equity in my opinion. And basketball is not an equal opportunity sport. There's no equity. Like some people are born with more potential than others, and like we talked about,
I'd say life isn't.
Life isn't an equitable endeavor.
Situations.
Yeah, like we talked about. Like if everybody is born, if I was born, we'll use a 2K attribute my player for those who can understand that metaphor as a reference of like I was born 6 feet, 6'1" in shoes, not super athletic. Parents that didn't play college basketball. My mom's 5'1", from Canada, where it's not super traditional pathway to play college basketball. Like I was born with the bare minimum, pretty much, basketball baseline. It's not like I was born super athletic, super tall, super basketball.
I might not
family.
go bare minimum. You might have.
So if 25 is the lowest, I was probably born at like 35, 30, in terms of starting point.
Are we doing purely physical attributes or also opportunity around you?
Physical attributes.
Okay.
And maybe, overall, it's on the lower end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And I think my maximum, because of those, was probably like a 65, 70, realistically. And maybe that's even being generous. But I think like I maxed out that. Like I got to be as good of a basketball player as I could have possibly been because of, you can't do anything without the people around you and the financial support and time support of my family, friends, and everything. But a lot of it is to do with the effort that I put in and the consistency. And so, I don't regret, this is as good of a basketball player as I could possibly be. And I personally don't think it would be enough to take it to the next level in something that interests me. Like I wouldn't be interested in playing on like a semi-professional team, even if I was good enough to, or in like a lower level professional league, not making a lot of money and not a necessarily safe or comfortable situation. That also wouldn't interest me. And obviously I'm not going to be good enough to be, you just look at my stats. Obviously I wouldn't be good enough to be a professional basketball player in like an esteemed situation. And so it's enough for me to know that I got to be as good as I could possibly be. And what I received in return for my input is what I received in return for my input. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing else for me to gain, if that makes sense.
I'd say you probably got to like around a 67 overall. Do you think calisthenics is a, this might be a dumb question, but a new pathway or merely a Bandaid in the process of finding a new thing?
I think it's different. It's both. I wouldn't say it's a Bandaid. I definitely wouldn't say it's a Bandaid.
Weirdly enough, I can tell you right now that bodybuilding actually was a Bandaid.
Was a Bandaid?
Yeah. Because the thing, when I was bodybuilding, still am, but like really fucking just hammering it, like not doing any cardio because that's what I thought was the best possible thing, and then dieting as hard as possible, and that kind of
like
fell off.
April, May of Madai, and like first
all
year
the
here.
way up to
until,
all the way up to last year here. Okay. I would say was the point where bodybuilding really pushed it to the edge. Okay. During that entire process, I don't know if I was unconsciously trying to fill the hole with basketball. You could probably say that's true. But there's just something about a skill-based thing or task that bodybuilding in and of itself or something that's purely weightlifting or that one-dimensional just can't fill.
So,
and which that might be why calisthenics is differently because there is skill-related things. But like the golfing aspect of it that's now taken over, which is not entirely replaced bodybuilding, but has taken a much bigger forefront in my life. The ability to just grind on something and sort of like throw the idea of your body hurting or all that stuff in the back burner and have the skill itself be the forefront, that's just irreplaceable by bodybuilding.
Yeah. I can understand what you're saying. I think calisthenics it's definitely not a bandage, especially because I started this, like, I don't know if we talked about this before or not on the podcast, but I mean, I was at the beginning of the year, like in 2026, sick and hurt. So I wasn't playing basketball and wasn't really moving much. And I just needed something to do to get in my room, be like within the realm of physical capability based on my circumstances, and see something to work towards that was outside of basketball because I was being consumed by basketball, whether I was playing it or not, because all there is when you're on winter break here is basketball. No school, no friends really other than my teammates, nothing much to do, not much mobility. So I was waking up every day like looking forward to do it while basketball was still around. And at some points when basketball wasn't going good, like I was waking up every day for that and was getting through practice, pushing myself as hard as I can with the reward of I'm going to go and do some pull-ups after to reward myself for continuing to push through another day of difficult circumstances, if that makes sense.
It's not a reward, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, some could call me a sicko, but I mean, that's what I was looking forward to do, and that's why I was waking up in the morning. At some points, that was helping me get through tough days, especially when basketball wasn't going well. And honestly, like, this year is probably top 2 of, I mean, I don't know, I've had a lot of frustration throughout my basketball career, to be honest with you, but this year was a high level of frustration in terms of role inconsistency and production inconsistency and health inconsistency and all these different types of things. And, I mean, I think the thing about calisthenics that drew my attention was it's pretty close to a 1-to-1 ratio of input to output, of what you put in is what you get out. Mm-hmm. Like, if I want to do my initial goal, so with the calisthenics thing, is I want to get a muscle up. I didn't even think about calisthenics. All I thought was a muscle up. I knew I was kind of able to do it before. It's a feat of extreme physical ability and skill, and it's very difficult, and it would be a good goal to try and push towards. And it was also a lot in my control. Like, if I continuously do this, it might have been a month, it might have been 6 months, it might have been a year. But if I was doing it for long enough, it will happen eventually, which you can't necessarily say the same thing about something like basketball, where it's less in your control.
Technically, and this is an Alex Hormozy quote, but you could say that you either get the thing that you want or you die. On some level, if you go to the extreme, it's like either I will be successful in basketball, and if I don't quit, I will die, or I will become successful in basketball. If I do it until I'm 85, I will either have died or I will be successful in basketball.
I mean, so my college career ends.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far
as
throwing
it on the fire. Just keep throwing shit on the fire.
Like trying to play pro and whatever, and eventually I'm going to die or something's going to happen.
It's if you're defining it as my goal is to be a professional basketball player, either I become that or I die.
I mean, there would probably be a moment in between that where you're not a successful basketball player and you're still alive. That would suck. Yeah,
but if you keep trying, then you can't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, something that we talked about this also after, when we had that conversation after the season was over, but something about basketball that helped me so much was even after a moment of failure, getting into a game and missing a big shot, or not getting into a game at all, or getting into a game in the end of the game and trying to prove myself and not going the way I'd like to. But the opportunity that there was another day to wake up and go and put in work and continue to pursue being a successful college basketball player or on-court success or contribution to something bigger than myself on the court physically was enough for me to continue to wake up in the morning and deal with the pain and the adversity and keep putting one foot in front of the other. Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking about when you were saying that. But I think it's much more one-to-one in calisthenics than it is to basketball. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if my goal is to play professional basketball, I can't control. I mean, I'd have to produce.
There is much more control because you're literally not competing with anybody. Because like if you're going to go equity, there's people who can do a muscle up from birth.
Well, I'm competing with myself, and
that's why the control is there.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to play pro basketball, there's so many things out of your control. Like, you have to produce stats in order to get.
Simply by adding competition, you add a incomprehensible number of variables. Simply by adding competition, that's not just you and versus yourself. You add an incomprehensible number of variables. But it's not even.
I mean, but there's also like I can't control whether I get in the game or not. I can control whether I make my first shot, which gives me an extra 5 minutes, which allows me to do more things, or I don't make my first 2 or 3 shots and I only play 3 minutes in the game. Mm-hmm. And those are super out of my control, Like, you can make the same number of shots like we talked about, but when you make them, allows for a different outcome in terms of opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that's super out of my control. And doesn't necessarily have to do with the competition piece itself, if that makes sense.
Kind of. But, like, if you make shots, the person who gets subbed in instead of you is your competition. Like, if it was just you alone in the basketball gym, it doesn't matter how many shots you make. If you just keep shooting them, eventually they're going to go in. That would be the one-to-one correlation of calisthenics.
Yeah.
So adding other people just adds so many variables. What I was going to say before you said that was something about golf. I might have lost it. Yeah, it's sort of like, I was thinking about what you were saying with the competition piece and like how I would have had to feel about, like, I never processed any of that coming up. I don't know if you did, but like the
I
idea
think
that
we did a lot of processing on that night of.
I meant more so like the idea that you're a 6'1" white kid in the middle of Canada and all that stuff. None of that for me was processed when I was trying to play basketball. The only thing that mattered was the underlying desire to do it.
I could say the same thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, I could be a 5'8" white kid, to be honest. So
Would
maybe
that have stopped you from trying?
No. So maybe, I mean, my starting point was not as low as I'm making it seem, but it also definitely was not nearly as high as I would say probably 90+% of the people that are in the NCAA Division III and higher. I was probably in the bottom 10% of starting positions in terms of physical traits. Is that a fair?
I've seen some really unathletic kids, but yes, that's probably true.
I mean, like, I'm among the top 10% shortest people in the gym on most games as 6 foot 6'1", and definitely bottom 10% in athleticism. Whether it's not necessarily vertical, but you have to think speed, lateral movement.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely true.
Maybe bottom 5%.
That's definitely true.
Maybe bottom 5%, right?
Definitely true.
I mean, really, basically the only, I'm not going to say the only, and cut myself short, but the main attribute of the reason why I was even in the gym with all of these other people with higher starting points was shooting ability, which was, I mean, judging by the way I shoot the basketball, 100% effort and process developed, right? So
I remember what I was going to say before that. You were talking about how the game itself started to be something that you actually needed relief from, but at some point in the journey, the game was the thing that gave you relief from life or homework or something else. Yeah. So I think whenever that flip switched, seems to be the thing.
I mean, not necessarily true. Like we would talk about in freshman year when I would be playing video games or playing whatever as a relief from basketball when we're in winter break, and that pillar of life becomes so dominant over everything else that you need a little bit of separation from that to release, I don't know, this energy or frustration or even just.
But you could say that the reason you needed relief from it was because it became a job and no longer a game. So you needed a game to get.
If you get good at anything, if you get good enough at anything, and I would consider being a college level basketball player good enough in this stance, it becomes a job because I am rewarded or not based on performance. I am. Yeah. So I mean, there are much higher demands of time and energy as well. I think I honestly think it's at the college level like 50% job, 50% passion, hobby, love of basketball. But it is still like at the college level, it's definitely a job, right? So, yeah, I don't really know how I was going with that, but I definitely think it's like 50%. It's a job. Like for example, this past summer when I'm doing an internship, I have a real job, working 40 hours a week, in person 3 days a week, and whatever, and I'm still playing pickup a couple times a week in men's leagues and whatever, and then working on my game and developing new skills and sharpening my already developed skills and lifting and trying to get a stronger body. And there are a lot of times where I was like, I don't think I can do another off season of this. Like fortunately, this is the last time I'm going to empty the tank in this and try and get as good as I can for this season. Because I knew that, I mean, we had a decent year last year. It would probably be much easier to recruit. And also Coach Fish is a great recruiter, and we're recruiting half a new team. We recruit 8 new guys. And I've had a probably similar role on the team this year as I did last year, an opportunity. But I knew it would be exponentially harder this year to even get the same opportunity and results and those things as it would have been last year because of higher internal competition. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be much harder to earn the same spot in the rotation in the lineup as it was last year because the team is better, more higher competition, younger legs, and I'm getting older. So I mean, yeah, I was motivated by that to just empty the tank, just get as good as I possibly can. And fortunately, I think I had a more successful season this year than I did last year, and so did the team. So I mean, I feel like I can pat myself on the back knowing that even though it was going to be exponentially harder, I did what's necessary in order to maintain and improve slightly, let's just say. But it definitely felt like a job, and like I didn't want to do it a bunch of times. I felt like this is the last thing I want to do right now is lift and do Coach Joe's menacing 85 sets of army lifts after working a full day and then have to go shoot or play in a pickup thing. but I did it because that was my job. My job. I'm a college basketball player. I'm playing my last year, and yeah, technically I could have like not played and nothing would have really happened, but I was committed to it, and I'm gonna see these things through. Mm-hmm. And I also love basketball. And I want to finish out my college career as a college basketball player and get a 4-year varsity letter and play for just complete that area of my life. But at the end of the day, like, it was a job, and I mean, my teammates also know what I was capable of and know what I contribute to the team, and I had an obligation to do my best available or my best possible effort to provide that for the team in order to be successful. Mm-hmm. But it definitely felt like a job. The most it honestly felt like a job was this summer when I was just grinding while being exhausted from working, and it definitely felt like a job. But I also definitely had to do it, because I wanted to, because I like I said before, and probably rambling now, but wanted to have the same opportunity, if not more, that I had the previous year, which was probably the most success I saw on the basketball court in my definitely the most success I saw on the basketball court in my college career. But that was probably a good portion of it. But a good portion of it too was that's what's necessary. That's what the job entails. Mm. And yeah,
I'm thinking.
I don't really know if I'm being coherent right now, to be honest with you.
I think you are. There's part of this, like, I would like to go on the path of lessons you've gained from all of this, but I think that's better suited for another episode where we like just sit down and just dump every single lesson we've both learned from trying to attain this college basketball thing in
I
one
can tell
episode.
you a lesson that I've came to the conclusion of after basketball is over.
Sure.
And this is probably, honestly, maybe the most important thing.
That you've learned throughout the entirety of your college basketball or your basketball career in general.
It's not a physical thing. It's not like work ethic, discipline.
It's not cliche.
No. It's that spotlight syndrome is a real thing, and that the things that you judge yourself on are extremely most likely a lot less significant to everybody else, if that makes sense. Like, I feel such a weight lifted off my shoulders, mainly when basketball is done, for the sole reason that I would wake up every day and walk through life, walk through campus, walk through the dorms, through the dining hall, and I believed that other people's perception of me was tainted with my basketball ability and production, and how I was doing on the basketball court was a direct reflection of how people thought about me and treated me and would interact with me. And it's really hard to convince yourself or anybody that's not how it is when you're in a sport that you care about so much and that's so results driven, and that you have so much time, emotion, and effort invested into. However, after having that removed, after our last game going horribly in every way possible, personally, as the team, and everything, and being still embraced by my friends and family, and now having that weight lifted off my shoulders of being able to kind of see those tainted like basketball glasses, take them off, and realize like nobody was ever interacting with me based on my basketball ability, whether I was performing really well or not well at all. And like your personal failures are like nobody's holding that against you but yourself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's really, I think, the biggest thing I've learned from basketball being done in the last week is that nobody ever cared if I was good at basketball or not, or nobody ever cared if I was producing at a high level or not, or nobody ever cared if I was shooting the ball well or not. The only person that cared was me, and I portrayed that care and belief onto everybody else and assumed that that's how they were interacting and, I guess, with me. I don't know what the word is, but that's how they were influenced to interact with me by. But that's not the case at all. And now that basketball is over, those like glasses I was able to take those glasses off and kind of see it for, I guess, what it really is, is just a sport that I enjoyed playing and saw as an opportunity to help me get education and play at the highest level I possibly could.
It's partially a stoic dictum that you're sort of getting at there, is the idea that the mind amplifies pain. And then, therefore, like, the thing happened, I can control what I can control. And then outside of that, any extra thoughts or effort put towards this is simply me making my pain worse for no other reason than to just sort of fetishize it, I guess. But do you think you could have removed those glasses without the removal of basketball from your life?
Not possible.
Why?
Because I cared so much about basketball and about what I was producing and about how I was contributing to the team and to the school and to all these different things. And I cared so deeply that there was no way you couldn't convince me that everybody else around me didn't care the same. until I was no longer a basketball player, and people still interacted with me the same. And this wasn't necessarily a realization where I had like a light bubble switch. It was just kind of like gradual, where basketball was, and I can understand and see that people aren't treating me any differently. And I just had the lowest moment of my basketball career in our last game, and I don't feel any less as a friend, partner, son, or anything like that. There's no way you could have possibly convinced me in any facet that wasn't the case, because I would have. And even if it sounded crazy, and I would say it out loud and it sounded crazy, there's no way you couldn't convince my mind
It's
that
not something you could
everybody else didn't care as much as I cared about the way that I played.
It's not a truth that you could have logically got to. You had to feel it, literally.
Yeah. I could have logically told you, there's no way that anybody else cares, but the way I felt was, you couldn't change the way I felt until I was no longer a basketball player anymore.
And yet then there was literal proof for your nervous system or your psychology or something to the fact that like this actually is true.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's what I learned, is that nobody really gives a fuck about really anything other than themselves, and everybody else probably feels the same way.
About something.
And yeah, about something in their life. And it was a lot of me projecting these strong emotions of care and effort and intensity onto other people, and then feeling like that's how they were perceiving me based on what was going on in my life, which is all obviously a huge facade and all in my head. The brain's very powerful, man. Brain's very, and it obviously sounds so irrational. And if you told this to me when I was in high school or early in, I would have also came to the realization that it is irrational. But sometimes, like, there's no way you can convince me that the irrational thing wasn't true, even if I believed it in words. I didn't necessarily believe it in like actuality, unless
by
I actually
technical definition, your nervous system isn't necessarily rational. Like if you're Russell in the woods, to be rational, it's probably not a tiger. But the odds that it is going to make you jump or run or move or do something that's irrational.
Yeah, exactly.
What was I going to say? Do you think that made you a worse basketball player because of all that existential weight from the whole?
1,000,000%. Okay. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. So there's a lot of people who, and I've experienced this firsthand of seeing, because obviously I'm one of 5% of people who play basketball after high school. So I've played with a lot of basketball players, and I've seen a lot of people get significantly better after they're done playing basketball in high school or whatever it is, because there's no, I guess, if I go into a Brody game in this summer and play like shit, like I don't have any, I'm not going to, it doesn't matter. But if I played like shit this summer, I would get worked up saying, oh, I shot 2 for 10, and I can't be shooting 2 for 10 in Brody because that means that I'm going to shoot worse than that in a college game because it's not a 1-to-1 level of competition, and I'm getting worse and all these things, and then I'm not going to play, and there's all these different, and they're not real, but they're weights that are added on top of performance and those things. And so when you take that off and you just play basketball for what it is, which is fun and competitive, then there's so much, it's easier to get out your head, which is, I guess, a simple way of saying it. But there's just less. It just doesn't matter anymore. So you can play more freely without thinking the way that other people are perceiving you, because the way that other people are perceiving you doesn't matter, because there's no action or follow up with how other people perceive you. Like if people perceive me as not a good basketball player, if my coach perceives me as not a good basketball player, I'm not going to play. If my teammates perceive me as a good basketball player, I'm not going to get the ball. I'm not going to get opportunity. They might even clown me or make fun of me or whatever. I might be the butt. You know what I'm saying? Like there are consequences for the way that people perceive you based on production. Although
despite the fact that you can't control that,
which was something that was super frustrating to me. And I don't think that anyone perceived me like I was finishing my basketball career. Like I don't think that anybody would perceive me as like incapable of producing or contributing to the team, which is because and if I didn't prove that to anybody else, I definitely proved that to myself based on what I achieved. But I have friends that I'm going to play basketball with who are ass. But that doesn't make me think of them any less as anything else, because it doesn't matter, right? But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of reminded of a Mike Tyson interview I listened to where he was talking about, he's boxed with like a lot of really good people, obviously, because he was a world champ. But there was a lot of guys who would beat him in sparring, but then he called it like the spotlights or the bright light syndrome, where they would get under the big lights with the arena and everything, and they would just crumble. Yeah. And so like that thing seems to be true all the way up, that like the amplification of the mind, I haven't met somebody who's a world champion or anything, but I would assume that somehow they managed to get around that to the point where they could just be in the moment and fight and not have their mind amplify everything.
Yeah.
Or they were just so good that it didn't even matter, and that the shittiest version of themselves could beat that guy on that given night.
Probably a combination of both.
Okay.
It's probably a combination of both, and I was never able to get there.
Shit, man, I couldn't either.
So, I mean, it's not that I didn't. I mean, I probably went the way of like trying to get as good as I possibly could to the shittiest version of myself would be able to compete at a high level. To be honest with you, definitely spent some time with like trying to alleviate that and with self-reflection and journaling and meditation, all these different types of things. But I mean, that never really was alleviated for me of thinking about what people think, whether it's the crowd, whether it's my teammates, whether it's my coaching staff, whether it's and like I've never able to really get relieved from that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is what it is. Doesn't matter anymore.
I wonder if there's a solution for that outside of basketball, because I mean, I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but like that pressure that still exists there to perform when people are watching. I've experienced it minutely in golf, and it definitely still exists, despite the fact that I have zero evidence to provide myself that I'm good at golf, because I was literally like a year into playing when I played in that tournament. Yeah. But like even now, if I'm swinging a golf club and I'm by myself alone in Berks or on the range or whatever, I can hammer balls. But if there's like 5 randoms watching me, I might hit like 15% worse shots. 20 people, it just keeps consistently going down.
I mean, I don't really know how to alleviate one's
proclivity to have spotlight syndrome.
Yeah, it's not really spotlight syndrome. It's more like I mean, technically it is like a spotlight, but spotlight syndrome refers to something else. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It's a pretty deep episode. My brain's trying to process a lot of things. So, yeah.
Where do you want to go from here?
I got a muscle up today again. That was pretty cool.
Shout out chat. He got muscle up. Shout out Jack Lowe for recording.
Shout out Colin, strengthless intern for. He's in there every morning after the softball girls lift, and then I go in there and we do some calisthenics. He's cracked, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
At calisthenics or at lifting?
I mean, both. He failed on 255 today. Like
for which lift?
Bench.
That's a lot of weight. I thought
he's
you
like
bench at 255 bench.
He's like 170.
That's a metric shit ton of weight.
And he can do a L sit to handstand.
On the floor? So he L sits and then his legs go back and then he goes up into a handstand?
Yeah. But he does it in between 2 boxes for some more elevation for like.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's OD though.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. And I want to get handstand push-ups like my next big goal, but in between I want to get frog to handstand. So it's kind of like how would you explain a frog pose? Balancing on your hands with your knees on the inside of your elbows, I guess.
I can't say that. That was going to be violently fucking weird. But
and then pressing up into a handstand.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. Takes a lot of pushing strength. And I'm getting close.
Did I tell you I started lifting in high school as calisthenics?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Were you able to do anything cool?
I mean, I could kind of, those things you can do, it's called like the perfect push-up with like the little bars that come off the ground. Like I used to mess around with those and I could like do an L sit on those. That's
pretty cool.
And then I could like sort of maneuver my way around and like bring my knees up, and I could never go from that into a handstand, but like I started messing around with it purely because ATG, like the Athletic Truth Group, like his thing was kind of sort of a segue.
That's what it stands for, Athletic Truth Group? That's
yeah,
sick.
It's sort of a segue onto being able to do all that calisthenic stuff, because like when you can fold yourself in half with 145 pounds, usually you can do some stuff with body weight.
Well, I think also I'm going to become so much of a better basketball player, not only because of the spotlight syndrome being relieved of me, because I'm not playing any basketball that actually is determining anything in the future, but also because now I have time to like not only am I I'm doing like a hybrid of calisthenics and athletics lifting thing that I've kind of created myself with me, ChatGPT, previous experience of lifting over 6 years of having structured plans from basketball training, whatever. But I just want to be able to do cool things, cool skills. I want to be able to dunk really well consistently and be explosive. I want to be able to obviously do things like a muscle up, like a handstand push-up like we were talking about before. But I also want to have a healthy body, and especially because I'm not going to be playing basketball 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. When I do play Brody basketball once a week, or I go and get some shots on my own, or go and play pickup with friends, I don't want to be vulnerable and in pain. And so I'm really working on rebuilding my body, ankles, knees, hips, back. And I think because I'm allowing myself, A, more rest, because obviously I'm not playing a fuck ton of basketball, but B, because I'm being able to emphasize individual things that are I need like for my body, and B, like the ways that I am enjoy progressing those things as opposed to a standardized thing for a team. I'm going to become so much of a healthier and better athlete because of that, if that makes sense.
I need to start doing some more of that stuff because golf is starting to wear and tear.
I start every lift with an ankle strengthening thing, hip, knee, and back. So like for example, today I did single leg extension iso holds for my knees. I did different types of like ankle walks and different movements for my ankles. I did what did I do for my hip flexors? Maybe it was monster walks for my hips, and then with bands around my ankles, and then some like scap pulls and some cat cows and stuff for my back. And I get into my lift, and it probably takes me 15 minutes, but I definitely, hopefully, over the course of a month, will drastically improve my health in those vulnerable areas.
Mm-hmm. When do you think your calisthenics love will run out? Like, do you think you'll ever get bored of it?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still like a workout and like a way to expel energy, regardless of if I'm like, I mean,
I can tell you right now,
in 5 years, hypothetically, if I stick to doing calisthenics like multiple times a week for 5 years, like, I'm just going to be ridiculous and be able to
just go to a muscle up bar, do single hand muscle up.
Yeah. Do like the full planche. You know what that is?
Yeah, where you like, isn't it?
It's like you're floating in push-up position with just your hands on the ground.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. Probably that would make sense. Probably
you'd be bored.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Okay.
But I think it's always going to be a good way to release energy, whether it's from work or social or whatever it is. Like, it's a good workout, stay in shape, and release energy.
Because I was a little bit delusional when I started lifting. I thought like
you'll be able to do it forever.
Yeah, I thought like.
But the thing with also, let me sorry for cutting you off. But I think that's important is that the fact that you can't do it forever is what makes it valuable. If
lifting,
just anything.
Like
the finite, if something was infinite, then it loses a lot of value. Like the finiteness of something allows it to be more valuable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I was more so talking though about like the enjoyment I get from it. Like despite the fact that I won't be able to lift forever because I'll be 90 and in a bed somewhere, the actual enjoyment of it when I started doing it was very overwhelming to the point like after that first year I was like, and I watched a video of somebody, it might have been James something, he's like a fitness influencer, and he was talking about how like he got through his 5th, 6th, 7th year of lifting, and he's like, this is going to happen to all of you watching this. You're going to get bored of lifting, and then you're going to go to like jiu-jitsu or this, and then you're going to start branching out. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'll probably just like keep doing single arm tricep extensions until I do the full stack, and the whole gym is like, there's something seriously wrong with this kid. And I got to that point where like maxing out the pec deck and starting to get to the point where the dumbbells at Planet Fitness don't really work for any single lift, and like getting ridiculously strong and still being like, okay, well, there's got to be something. And that's where golf is starting to sort of leak in and find that hole. And now it's actually becoming a point where like lifting might be a problem that's causing me to golf worse because the extra strain on my shoulders and getting so big that you need all this crazy rotation and very finicky movements, which is annoying because there's just no way that I can just let go of lifting to sort of pursue golf. That would just be insane. But I'm not sure how to handle that right now.
Yeah. I mean, if my goal is to, one, have a healthy, in shape body, which calisthenics is helping me work towards, and B, to be able to do cool things, skills, then calisthenics isn't the only thing that can do that for me. Mm-hmm. Like there are other things that I can progress towards after I'm a full-blown cracked calisthenics athlete that will A, improve my physical fitness, B, give me a mental outlet, and C, allow me to work towards something cool. Mm-hmm. So
I could see you transferring into jiu-jitsu.
I definitely want to because I need to be less of a fucking pussy. So
well, there's that, and there's also like the transferability from like all of the, I hate this word, but functional movements of calisthenics directly into
martial arts
would be probably very transferable, I would have to assume. That's something that I could see myself getting into very shortly. If I had access to a gym here or something, or I had like dabbled with it already, I'd probably be in a jiu-jitsu gym very often.
I think there definitely is something relatively close to my house. I used to do something like that when my parents wanted to try and toughen me up when I was playing soft in basketball. Never really worked. Pretty much mostly played soft. Shot 2 free throws in my basketball career in the last game, missed them both.
Yeah.
Happens, bro.
Gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
But yeah, what else do you want to talk about? Don't really have much more to say on the
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you, we are 48 minutes in, and if I start unpacking Nietzsche now, there's just no way that like this in and of itself is going to take.
Jesus fucking Christ! What is that?
That's Nietzsche. It's gonna take an entire episode in and of itself.
You have like 10 papers there. What the hell?
Dude, the conclusion that I've come to with Nietzsche, with the current birth of tragedy, has been.
How many pages are you in now?
Right now, no, I've made it far enough, but I've also begun branching out, because here's the thing that happens when you start reading a lot of philosophy, it's particularly like really potent philosophy, is it starts to branch out into other things, especially because I'm high openness, is I'm always making connections and weird little artistic things.
Move on to other things.
And so you start to see the nuances, and like I've now hit the point where I always kind of wondered why certain quotes hit me as hard as they did. And Nietzsche has kind of encapsulated that into his philosophy in The Birth of Tragedy to in a point where like I now have on this other page, I've just been compiling quotes that
Who wrote this?
The Birth of Tragedy?
No, what?
Me.
These 10 papers. You wrote all. Let me see this. You wrote essays on this?
It's not necessarily an essay. It's more like a philosophical inquiry.
You wrote all of this?
Yes, I did. And
How long did this take you?
not that long, maybe like 2 weeks.
That's long as shit.
It's not even that finished yet either.
Jesus Christ.
But the thing is like it's just it's become, I wouldn't say an obsession, but like this he's inspired this sort of philosophy into my mind to sort of branch out and see if this truth that he talks about in The Birth of Tragedy reflects throughout the other artists or people that I find their quotes compelling. And I've found ones that I think seem to resonate what he's talking about, being as vague as possible without like getting directly into it. Because if I do, it's just going to take like an entire new episode to sort of go through that.
All right.
But that will happen at some point.
So what else do you want to talk about? Well, you're going to have to take that. 15 minutes and 25 seconds.
I'm trying to think of, I'm encapsulating myself into the mind of the listener, what they would want to hear from an ex-college basketball player without destroying the possibility of having other episodes built on this. What would Justin Hunter, the kid who watches every single episode, want to hear from Max Rolnick about the end of his basketball career? Do you regret anything? Nothing.
Nothing. Not a single thing. Which is probably making it a lot easier.
The transition.
Yeah. That's what I've not. You mean you've witnessed 4 years of the 6 years that I dedicated to, like, I mean, I'm counting 6 years because that's when I moved to the U.S. and that's when it like became like my life. But I mean, I was getting up work and consistent work for a long time before that. But you've seen a pretty good portion of it. Mm-hmm. If you were me, would you regret anything?
No, but I don't have many regrets in my college basketball career, and I didn't work as hard as I possibly could. So that's sort of.
I don't think I worked. Okay, well, I mean, there's a guy on TikTok. His name is Miller Kopp. He plays on the Cavs G League team, and he talks about this thing. It's like consistency is better than intensity. I definitely wasn't the most intense worker on the team.
We're the opposite in that way.
Like, I definitely wasn't the most intense, like the most hours in the gym per day, exhausting myself the absolute most. But I definitely was the most consistent. Like, I was in the gym like the same amount of time, if not more, every single day. Hour before practice, lifting maybe on my own before, or getting shots up during the day, and then an hour before practice, whatever it was. But I was doing that every single day, probably 13 of every 14 days, maybe 20 of every 21. Like, I was so unbelievably consistent with the work that I was putting in my process. And I had days where I went really hard, and I had days where I spent long times in the gym. But I think the consistency is what allowed me to achieve the things that I did. And I don't necessarily, and it also allowed me to continue at that level. If I was going super intense every session, I would be having way less productive sessions. If that makes sense.
You see, that's what I'd say. We're opposite in that respect and in many respects. But as you were talking about that, I started to think about, like, is there archetypes that start to shake out as people make college basketball? And like yours was just religious consistency across a super long period of time, which has allowed you to play college basketball. Yeah. With me, and this is the same lesson that I've derived from basketball, is short bursts of just like willing to die levels of like, dude, it got to the point. I mean, it was combined with consistency, but like it wasn't 7 a.m. every single day. It wasn't like for the first half it might have been, but like you just can't sustain that for periods of time.
You probably spent 3 to 4 years, absolute balls to the walls, and then just burnt out.
Yeah.
I probably spent
6 years.
Well, no, because I
not going balls to the walls, but 6 years.
No, not more than that, because I was getting up shots I would say probably 10 to 12 years of religious consistency to the point where my family couldn't even take a vacation to a place where there wasn't a basketball net, because I could not spend one day not depositing something into the basketball bank account. Like, and super fortunate that my grandparents spend time in Florida, and there's a basketball net there, and I was going there since I was a kid. But if my family wanted to go to another place, we physically couldn't because I wouldn't let them because I needed to go. If I was going to go anywhere, it was going to be Florida, where I knew that I would be able to get into a workout routine and a basketball routine. And we couldn't go anywhere else. There was one time where I'm not going to talk about this, but it was I had to go play basketball. I needed to deposit something into the basketball bank account every single day religiously. Otherwise, I was going to explode.
I want to know what that is because I've felt that in 2 domains now, which is basketball and dieting, to the point where now I don't even know what has happened that's sort of just been relinquished for me. But getting lean the first time, it's I couldn't go out to eat with you guys. I couldn't go to the cafe and do a certain thing. I couldn't do this. If I was going somewhere where there wasn't chicken breast and rice or this thing, it's I'm just not going to go there. And so I was willing to relinquish.
We had some fights because of that.
Fights. Things where I just couldn't relinquish that level of control for a objectively meaningless goal of just getting to whatever % body fat and being lean.
If you probably did the same thing and
over a longer period of time,
it would have been the same thing.
Exactly, but that thing is and you could have waited with basketball.
I also could have not worked out for a week and win the exact same spot.
So it's is this object? I don't know where that comes from, but I think to some level it actually is required to make it to this level, and obviously levels for because if someone's capable of convincing you that it actually is meaningless, then you're not going to make it. If you don't have that whatever it is,
but also 1 week of going turns into one cheat meal turns into a cheat week, one cheat week turns into cheat on your you know what I'm saying, or missing a workout here, things compound. And so if you have the discipline to get back on the horse after one slip up, then obviously it won't affect you at all. Missing one workout in 10 years is not going to change the result. But missing one workout is a slippery slope because missing one workout slippery slope. You hang out on vacation and you start working out, and then you hanging out chilling's cool. I fuck with chilling by the pool. My body feels good because I'm not working out, and you get into the slippery slope of instant gratification over delayed gratification and short term pleasure, and then that's why you don't make it because you end up getting off the horse. You can't get. It's too hard to get back on.
Yeah, I don't see basketball was debatably yanked from you, which is what removed that consistency. But I'm with dieting.
I mean, no,
I don't even.
How can we even say it was yanked from me? I didn't.
Because you could still be doing it.
I didn't have I can't. I am still doing it. I'm still going to play in the 3v3. I'm still going to.
Yeah, but not with that same level of religious intensity.
But it's not.
And if we're saying you did step away from it, then you have to ask what is that allows someone to finally step away? Because I can't think of in my mind. With basketball, it's so foggy. I don't even want to.
What's allowing me to step away from basketball is the maybe frustration of things out of my control, and the need to put energy into things that are more 1-to-1 input to output ratio, like we were talking about before. That's at least allowing me to be comfortable stepping away from it, or not hanging my head, sulking and depressed and longing for meaning again, if that makes sense. Ask what you asked again.
I'm saying the whole point of that entire dialogue of asking what allows somebody who for that entire duration of their life or period of time was having this obsession over one thing allows them to finally turn it off. Because with dieting, it just beat me up so much to the point where I was no longer able to enjoy many other aspects of life, and it was it just isn't worth it anymore.
I guess.
I don't really know what it was. Okay, what was it that made it lean enough?
If somebody dies of old age, was life yanked from them?
Yes, they didn't choose to die.
But if they die from old age and their life was yanked from them,
technically yes. Because if it's not a choice, it's being yanked from you. And also it depends then it depends on their intent. Did they want to go on living? In that case, then it was yanked from them. If they wanted to die, then maybe they went out just take it from me, please. Then it's not yanked. It's just sort of.
I don't think if you die of old age, life is yanked from you. I think if you die in a car accident or get shot, life is yanked from you.
I think all death is a tragedy.
Agreed.
So by that definition, then it has to be yanked from you because you can't.
Why is a tragedy? And being yanked from you,
because if it wasn't a tragedy, then yanked is a negative term. Yanking something from someone is a negative connotation. If it's just if I give life away, then it's I want it to go. If it's taken from me, then I die.
If you die from something like a accident or getting shot or whatever, life was taken from you.
Indeed.
If you die of old age,
life was still taken
life was lived through. You lived through life.
I'm not sure I understand the distinction.
If you lived through life,
You saw it from point A to point B and everything in between.
I mean, define point A and point B, because the person who died in a car crash saw it from point A. There's point B is just shorter
The
than
inevitable
point
point B.
A. Okay.
Then I don't think life was yanked from you. I think you lived life. The whole point that gives life meaning is death, obviously. Like, I mean, not obviously, but that's something that you definitely learn in your philosophy is that.
It's not necessarily that the death is what gives it meaning. It's that the suffering of life and knowing that you're alive and the fact that you are alive forces you to suffer, and then finding a justification for that is the meaning of life that you're burdened with.
I think if you.
I'm not sure where's this analogy going.
That my basketball career died of old age.
That should be on your. That's Facebook somewhere. That has to go. I need that on something.
My basketball career died of old age.
That's sick. That's a great quote. That's the best quote you've ever had.
My basketball career was not yanked from me. I didn't get hurt. That forced me.
Basketball career died of old age.
No, it did.
I love that. No, I actually like that. Okay.
Your basketball career didn't.
No, I killed my basketball career with a knife and then twisted it.
Which there's no wrong way to go about it. But if we're comparing basketball to life, you chose to end your basketball career.
Indeed.
I didn't. But I also saw it through from point A to point B without interruptions.
Mm-hmm.
My basketball career died of old age.
Okay.
So it wasn't. I don't think it was yanked from me. I wasn't unable to continue because of financial reasons. I wasn't unable to continue because of health reasons. I wasn't unable to continue because I wanted to, but I wasn't good. I mean, we could arguably say I wanted to because of professional basketball. But, I don't even know if you can. No, if you play high school basketball, you're not good enough to play basketball in college. Your basketball career died of old age too. In my opinion. But I don't think my basketball career was yanked from me because I saw it all the way through. All the way through until I physically wasn't capable of seeing it through anymore. Which for me was a college basketball player, 4-year college basketball player at the NCAA Division III level. And then I died of old age.
I will concede that point purely on the fact that I like that quote.
So I don't really know where we're talking about that, but
it went from long-term consistency versus short-term intensity.
So the reason why I'm comfortable not having that long-term consistency and intensity, and why you're saying like what made you want to not diet anymore or whatever. What made me not want to play basketball anymore, metaphorically, is because I died.
Like a dog.
No,
okay.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Like, and this is why it might be a difference between basketball and
it's withering.
And dieting.
It's withering versus getting clipped. The flower withers and it dies sort of just because of the events and everything, versus like someone literally functionally clips it.
But I think that's a basketball to weightlifting, dieting metaphor might not be one-to-one, just because of the nature of the endeavors. But with basketball, my basketball career died of old age. Mm-hmm. So because it died of old age, there's nothing else for me to.
You can still mourn it.
I'm dead. I mean, we definitely mourned it. Let's just say. Let's just say for at least basketball had a good funeral.
It was mourned. Oh my God, was it mourned in ecstasy and extravagance?
It was mourned. But
yeah,
I mean,
the going away party for your basketball career versus mine sucks. I got no going away party. Yours got a.
I threw my own going away party.
Yeah, I don't really know
say that.
Why.
It was definitely.
Take that out. Okay, I guess. Yeah, I don't. No, I can't. I just can't. This is just too. There's no way.
You don't have to go into that, but
no.
That was a bar. You get what I'm saying though? Like the reason why I'm comfortable not putting in these daily deposits anymore in the basketball bank account, because same way that a dead person doesn't put money in their financial bank account, because it's dead, right? And there's not pain in that though. There's not. My basketball career lived a phenomenal life. I saw so many.
There can still be pain in it. Like you don't have to reject the fact that it is a painful ending. Despite the fact.
Okay.
Like
maybe I take that back. There definitely is pain in it, but there's not suffering in it.
Yeah.
Because I achieved a lot of things that I never thought I was capable of achieving. I did things I never thought I was capable of doing. I met people from all around the world. I became a person who is capable of many even greater things, whether it's individual endeavors and pursuits or team pursuits, and a lot of many other things along the way that I can't think of right now, or I'm not going to name because they're cliche or whatever these things. But there's a lot of damn money in that bank account that's now going to be dispersed to other areas of my life
and continue to get interest.
Oh yeah, always interest.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think that might be a good place to end and just say that his basketball career died of old age. Long-term consistency and short bursts of intensity are debatably both good ways to make college basketball. And
Not necessarily true at all.
why?
Because you make college basketball by the skin of your balls. Not to say that I didn't, but short-term intensity is, I would say, not a good way to make college basketball.
I would disagree. There's certain people who can't. There's no way they're going to make it without short-term intensity.
Well, you need to have. Do you think you would have been better off with long-term consistency or short-term
I
intensity?
wouldn't have made it
With long-term consistency?
if I wasn't driving 4 hours a day to go play on a college basketball team in Toronto or AAU team in Toronto, and then
Okay, but if you
and then
had
working
long-
out to the point where I had tendonitis in my fucking left elbow.
long-term consistency, you would have been in a much better spot.
Here's what would have happened. If I would have had the ability to transition from short-term intensity to long-term consistency once I got to college basketball, that would have been the best possible scenario. Because then I could have went from, holy shit, I'm never going to get out of this, to like, okay, now I actually have some breathing room. I no longer have to do this because it's just not attainable at that point to maintain that level of, because it goes from being completely in your control all the way up to college basketball to now it's like you're being burdened with so many other things, which you know better than anybody on this podcast, that like now it's team lift and then the second team lift and then practice and then all these things. It's like the intensity is provided for you. All you have to do is stay in it long enough and give it a little bit extra in order to get to where you want to go.
Very true.
So with like the before I got to college basketball, I'm from a small town of 300 people. I'm
I guess
same position as you,
definitely need
less
the-
opportunity.
You definitely needed the intensity.
Same position as you athletically, less opportunity.
Yeah.
Just there was
You
no.
needed
That was
intensity.
the only option.
But I don't think. Okay, I don't know how to go from there, but I think that consistency over intensity will lead to success for like 98% of people.
in basketball.
In life.
That I have to disagree with.
Okay, you think you have a better chance? If I decide that I'm going to bench 4 days a week for the next month, am I going to get 225?
Probably.
4 days a week for the next month. Do you think I'm going to...
You can do 195.
Okay,
right now. You're probably going to get it.
250?
Might get it. I don't know.
But if I benched twice a week or once a week for the next year, am I going to get 250?
Probably. Sure, but like there's many domains where I could say that's not true.
Like what?
Artistic endeavors. Having giant bursts of creative energy is usually how things go. Like having the ability to...
Okay, so if you spend 12 hours a day in large bursts of artistic endeavors, do you think you're going to get recognized more? Or if you do a artistic endeavor once a week for 5 years?
I would say...
Eventually,
You're gonna
by law of numbers, or you're going to find success in one of those 5 years of consistent outputs. In my opinion, you'd be better off. I agree with your situation of you needed the 3 or 4 years of intensity in order to make college basketball. If you put the same input that I put over a long period of time, you would have ended up like our good friend Danny Harry, aka Sam Scott. Realistically, good basketball player.
Wait, hold on. No.
I mean, Sam's a good basketball player. Probably was.
He was
consistent,
probably more consistent than me, if we're being totally honest.
but he didn't have the intensity that you have, and so it didn't put him in a position to be. And shout out to Sam Scott. We got to play the ones one time.
We're also, when he comes down here, which is going to happen at some point because he has a passport now, we're going to have to record, play ones and podcast.
Okay. But you know what I'm saying? Like he probably would not have.
Partially, but I'm also more of an advocate of intensity because one, it's just worked for me, and two, like I think there's something to be said for when things get when you're in a situation where you're just stuck. Like there's, again, I'm going to quote Alex Ramosi, but there's getting the most bang for your bucks, and then there's just getting the most bucks. Just brute force your way into a situation where you can get out of where you are. So like in a situation like, let's say right now, I'll use golf as an analogy. I'm in a position where I have access to a net, a club, balls, and a mat where I can go whenever I want, basically as long as there's not a team in there, and just go ballistic. Mm-hmm. If I applied the same level of intensity right now across the next 5 years, let's say I just went 2 hours every single day versus like 4 for this next 6 months, I'm going to be a better golfer because I used the opportunity I have around me and leveraged the intensity.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Like, for example, last year, I made it a point to go balls to the walls second semester while we were here because I knew I lived next to the gym and I'm going to be working full-time job, so my output will be less. I understand what you're saying, but I think overall, for most endeavors, 90 to 95 to 98% of people will be better off with consistency over intensity.
I'll concede purely so we can end this episode because I don't know where this is going to go.
Follow us on TikTok at Shipped Across the Border, Instagram at SATB_pod. Like, share, send with your grandma, and let us know what you think. Consistency over intensity, and how did your basketball career end? Suicide, getting killed, or die of old age.